So, right.
Okay, greetings everyone. Am I live and am I now clear?
Yes, Mr. Kakuru.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Yeah, I've joined with two gadgets. One is for speaking and another one I'll be using it to share screen. Okay, so you are welcome to today's session where we have entitled it Mastering Database Forms and Calculations. I will be taking you through this so that from your side you also share your views and how you have been handling certain areas in database. So in today's session, we are basically going to look at ways of starting access. Those are three ways starting from scratch. This is both at Senior 4 and Senior 6. Learners can start access from scratch. Then when you look at Senior 6 and the new curriculum, learners are supposed to use support files. That is another way of starting access. You are given a table which is already made in database, or the features are already made for you, you are editing them. Then also another way is importing. It can be an Excel file and they want you to import it into Access. That one can apply for new curriculum and for those senior sixes who are using support files. Then we shall also handle tables and data types. The host, you can mute those colleagues who are joining. Okay. Data types, you realize that since Office versions have been changing now and again, advancement from Office 2003 to the current 2021, you will realize that data types have been changing. They have been adding more. The one you used to know as memo is now long text, something like that. So we need to see those data types, that the way they have been evolving, formatting, description, and field properties in tables, then changing the currency types, UGX, date and time, change case, validation rule, and validation text. Then from there, you look at entering data into your database, tables in design view, or you can use forms in design view or by wizard, and then the layout, whether columnar, tabular, or justified. Then we also need to see how to create forms from tables or queries. And then we can do some simple to complex calculations there. And a few things like adding titles, footers, date and time, background colors, images, and the rest. So I believe in these 40 to 50 minutes, we should be able to learn much more, even on queries and reports. So we need to get started. As I said, we are starting with ways of starting access. I'm going to share my screen. So Dumba, I'm going to take over the screen. Okay, so I'm going to share the entire screen. So when you look at my screen, I'm going to create a folder here, which I'm calling it database. I open my folder. So within this folder, we can start our access from scratch. So I begin my access. I can call it practical one. So when I press enter twice, the database opens. So you will realize that for me, I'm using Office 2021, but I'm sure most features will apply to all the Office versions, most features. So the office I use is Office 2021. That is one way of starting access. Yes, it's Steve.
Mr. Kakuru,
Yes, please.
thank you so much. You hinted on the version of Office. Can you please tell people how someone knows the version of Office they are using? Because I normally see it in the groups, and people even know the version they are using.
Oh, so now here that I've opened my access, I click on File, then I go to Account. So when I click on Account, here it shows you Office, and here it shows you Microsoft Office Professional Plus 2021. If you are using 2010, it will show it there. You find that at times, even Office 2010, 2013, at times when you are opening, it shows you that this is the version you are using. Okay, thank you, Dumba. That is one way of opening access. The other way is by using, we said by using support files. So you may be having a support file on your computer, and then you open a file to start access. I'm going to go to the support files here. So here I open support files. So when you look at these support files, for example, I have a file here. If I open it, here it loads. I can enable content. So here it has a table. So meaning that I will work with that table for the following questions. The other way, you find that a database has been worked on. Yours is to edit queries, to edit forms, and the rest. Let me get another support file. For example, I'm getting here another access file, which is worked on. For example, you can see this file called Hub Garden. Almost Hub Garden has tables, it has queries, it has forms, reports. But the questions, they will tell you what to do in that report, what to do in that query, what to do in that table. So you follow the instructions as you work. The other method is importing data into your database. For example, by using the file we created at first here, practical one. So you find that you are importing data into it. And for that case, there is a file here. I can use this file called analysis. Let me copy this and paste it in this folder. You can paste it here so that it is easy for me to locate. Let's first open and see. This is the data that is in this file, but I think this one may not work well unless we remove this upper heading. Can remove that. Yeah, we save changes. Let's import this data into our file. So from here, I will go to external data, then new data source. From file, I choose Excel. I can browse the location where it is stored. It is on the desktop. It is in a folder called database. Then here it is. I select it. I click OK. So here I will say, yes, the data is on sheet 1. Then I click next. Yes. I say the first rows contain column headings. I continue. So from here, you can even assign data types. But the data I've chosen is also not good to be imported. Let me pick another table. Let me get another file from here. There are a number of files. Let me pick, say this one. Okay, let me import details table. Let's see how details table look. Yes, this one can work. Yeah, let's import that one. External data, new source from file, Excel, still in the same folder, details. Okay, first rows contain column headings. I select that. I click next. So here you can assign data types. So I go here, date and time. This one is short text. Short text, also that one can be short, or someone can say it is long text. I click next. Then here it asks you to put a primary key. I say choose my own primary key because it has already put a different key. I choose that. That can be the primary key reg number, or here I select a different field. I click next. I can name my table or leave it with that name and finish. I close. So here we have imported our table into Access. That is one way of creating a table by importing it. I see a hand from Amos. Yes, Amos.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kakuru. My question is just on visibility. Is there any way we can zoom the screen because the content is, I can't see clearly.
I've shared the entire screen.
Oh,
You can
it's okay.
zoom from your gadget. If you are
Let me
using a
try.
phone, zoom. Yes. If you are using your phone, zoom.
What of a laptop?
But a laptop, you just need to maximize your zoom up. Double click
All right,
in it.
thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is one way of creating an access file. Now we are going to have a database file that we shall use throughout as we interact. So here, I'm going to use, for example, the UNEB ICT file of last year. It was paper 3, where they asked you to import. Yes, they had provided a file named, that file was named library. So I can get this file into our working folder. Yes, this is our working folder here. And when you looked at library XL, this is how it looked like. So in this file, okay. So in this file, you can see we have ID number, last name, first name, class, book title, etc. So here, we can import this file into our database, and then we work with this one. So in practical one, let me import a file here, external data, new source from file, Excel. I import library X. Okay. It is on sheet 1. First rows contain column headings. We click next. Choose my own primary key. Can take that. Next. I finish. I close. So here I have my table called sheet 1. We can give it a name. So I'm going to give my table a name. I can rename it. I can call it student. That is student table. So in this table, if we take it to design view, we are able to change certain data type. So date borrowed can keep in date and time, date return. Let me see. Yeah, we can even maintain one date. Yeah, we can maintain one date. We can delete some other rows so that our database is not too long for now. Yeah, I've removed some. So with data types, we said when those of us who studied with Office 2003, you realize that the data types like short text, long text, large number, date stroke time extended, attachment calculated were not there. Even when you look at Office like Office 2010, it has no large number, data and time extended. Yes, so these have come up due to advancement in the Office versions. So this is what I wanted you to know. Now you see in these Office versions, we don't have data type like memo. So memo was replaced with large text. Now you can see of recent, we have large number. Then after assigning data types, one may need to do a description. So description is always entered there. So one can say that this field will store identification numbers, for students, something like that. Then you go ahead, describe other fields, describe them like that. Then below here, we have the field properties. You can specify, for example, class. That class should not exceed maybe 5 characters. You can limit it from there. Then let's say one would like to format, for example, last name. Let's first view. For example, you see last name is in capital letters. For example, one would like to change it into lowercase. So in view, in design view, on last name, when I go to format, instead of at, I can put the less than symbol. When I save changes and I go to view, you find the names are changed into lowercase. So there are a number of things you can do around that. Then say we had a new field. I want us to add a new field, maybe amount. And then amount, we are giving it say number. And then we would like to put maybe amount. We distribute some amount here that we can use for calculations as we go forward. Any questions can be put in the chat sections and we handle them together. Yes, I've put some amount in case we need to do some calculations. Today I saw some questions in the group, members asking about some calculations. So I've added that field so that we use it to do further calculations on the form. Yes, so far this is our database table that we shall use. Okay, we go back to design view where we are looking at more questions. So let's say our number, let's say it is currency or it is number, and we would like to add a suffix, for example, a UGX to appear at the beginning. So with this, we can format this, and it is as easy as someone opening quotations. You put UGX, you can close your quotations, you put hash, you put a comma and add more 3 hashes. So the hashes represent the unknowns. And we are putting comma separators. Yes, someone is saying that types for number should be currency. Yes, that one has no problem. You can still go ahead and change it to currency and format. It will still give you the results. So here we can go back and change it well. Okay, so under format, Let me take it back to general number, but the data type is currency. So if we have it at that, then we can now format it. UGX. Okay, that is formatting to put currency. Then there is also that question that normally talks about validation rule and validation text. For example, let's say our values here, we are told that these values should not exceed, say, 500,000. So let's limit them. We go back to design view. Still from this field, we come to validation rule. So with validation rule, you can put your rule here, or you go to the expression builder and say less 500,000. You click OK. So you can put the text describing that rule and say amount should not exceed 500,000. That is a validation text. If I save changes and I say yes, and I go to view my table, this is 30,000. If I change it to 510 and I press enter, it says amount should not exceed 500,000. So that's the purpose of a validation rule and a validation text. Okay, colleagues, are we together at that very point? Am I still loud and clear?
Yes, you are, sir.
Okay, please. So anything else on table formatting? We can briefly look at maybe date and time. We have here format where you can change this format to short date, medium date. For example, if I choose medium date, I save changes and I view. That's how medium date will look like. So a few table formatting questions normally rotate around that. Someone is saying, how do we automate, for example, index numbers? Okay, hopefully it works. I want to delete that field of of index number, and then we add a new field and automate it. How? But we have already entered data. Okay, so here I can get a new database here, and we do that auto numbering. I open it. So let's create a table. I have ID number. Then I have gender, DOB, class. So something like that, and you would like to use auto number on ID. Yes, this one is a primary key. Data type, I use auto number. So after using auto number, I will now format it. It is at increment, so I can still say, I open quotes. Let's say I'm going to auto number by T0, TK. I put a 0 there. So from here, I can close the quotes and put a hash. So when I do that, hash increment, I can save my table, can leave it as table 1.
Mr.
So when
Kakuru,
I open, yes, please.
what's the difference of using a hash and using zeros in that case?
Come again.
Using zeros, and you first go back to the design view. Where
It's
you have
here.
used.
No, this is the format TKO.
Yeah, TKO. I'm saying,
Yes, please.
a hash. The difference between using a hash and using a zero when formatting numbers.
Difference between a 0 and a hash.
Yeah.
Would you like to clarify on it?
Yeah. Now, a hash does not keep a placeholder for a hash is either nothing or a number, whereas a zero is a zero keeps the space. In this case, for example, I can try to search there.
There.
So, for example, in this case, try to put there 000. There.
After quotations.
After quotations. So this will
How many zeros?
series.
3.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you save and then you go and we see the automation. So in that case, it is going to be TKO 001. Okay, TKO 001. So the two zeros, zero remains the zero as a significant number, sort of. So so you save that. You now you go back to the other side and change. Okay, first put another person. Put 2 people. So it is still automating. Now, when you go back to you save and go back to design view.
Okay.
So when you put there a hash, if you
Yes,
put there,
please.
put there a hash. When you put a hash, put there 3 hashes, and you see. Yeah. So go back to design view. So you can see even when we have put 3 hashes, it is just putting only TKO1, TKO2. It was like the way. So the hashes ignore 0 as an insignificant. Whereas the zeros, they retain a 0. Just like on a telephone number in Excel, if you type 0772, it will ignore the 0 because it is insignificant. But if you format the cell, and actually even in Excel, you can format a cell and you go to custom. And then if you put zeros, then it will know that, okay, you want this.
Okay.
I don't know whether numbers have got what, but all of them are used to represent a placeholder.
Yeah, all of them can work for auto number depending on the data you are handling. If you are handling data that has those zeros, yeah, you can apply the zeros, and in case the data is much of text and it has only 1 digit at the end, you can still use the hash. Okay. Thank you, Rogers, for that input. I think we are done with auto numbering there. We can proceed with our data here. So from this data, which has been entered, but in scenarios where you had only the tables without data and you are told to enter data into the form, I'm going to create a copy of this table, copy of student. I'm going to delete the fields here. I mean the records, all of them. Steve or Michael, can keep checking for me in the chat section.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so here we have our table. This is our table in design view. So you have created your table with the respective data types and the formatting. Then you would like to enter data into the form. So you can create a form. You can create a form either by wizard or by design. Let's begin by design. So I can click on form design, and then with form design, I add existing fields. I show tables. I'm going to use the copy. So I click my table, then I double click each of these fields and I add them to my form. That is creating a form by design view. So when I click on view, form view, I will start entering the data into my form. I save. Let's say this is ID 004, last name, Tom, S.4, then book title, something like that, date of birth, say 23rd July 2022, comment. So when I save, it means that whatever I do, so let me save my form as form 1. So I close and I go to copy. The data I entered in the form comes back to the table. Okay. That is what I wanted to show, how to enter data into a form. So one can also create a form by wizard. So I got form wizard. Then I choose, say from student or copy of student. I take all fields or a few of the selected fields. And then here you can choose columnar, tabular. Yeah, that is my form. And then from here, you can continue entering more records in your database. Someone is asking, shall we handle relationships? Yes, we shall handle them at a time because we are here to interact and know more about the database. Okay. That is how we can enter data into our database using forms and tables. Okay. From here, I want us to create a form which we shall use to do some simple calculations. So let's create a main form from students table. So we create a form from students. We take all fields. I can decide to use tabular form. I mean tabular layout. I click next. I can call it form. I finish. So here, if I have such kind of a form, it means that I need to expand my column and my field width here and there. So we take it to view, design view. ID, I can reduce it a bit. Can bring this behind. This there. Book title. Yeah. So if I view, the form should be okay. So here, would like us to do the following. So you find that on your form, you have been tasked to include, let's say, a form header, a form title, include date and time, include the logo, include the footer. You need to emphasize your learners putting form footers so that we identify whose work. So here to put a footer, you still put your form in design view, create some space here, then you pick a label and you draw there, you put your form footer. Okay, then a title, we can put a title here. You this the label and draw and write there. Let's say I would like to use this existing one. So from here I can say, yeah, something like that. That is our title. You can go ahead, play with it to change font size. So with this under format, you can change the color, all that. Then to put date and time, still on form design here, one can put date and time. The form was created. Here you choose the format. That one will return date, that one will return time. One may need to put a picture. Let me reduce this a bit. So we can put a picture somewhere there. Okay, so here we have logo or we have insert picture. If you need a logo, you click there, you browse where your support files are. Say I have, yes, say I have that. That one acts as a logo. It's there. Then I would like to reduce this a bit. Okay. So if I want to insert a picture, I still go to insert, I browse, I bring the picture. Let me look for another one. Okay. Let's say this is my picture. This one I can simply draw and put it there. So that is how we can work with headers, footers, date and time, inserting logos or pictures, and formatting your data in a form. So when you go to form view, here is our data. Our date and time here is in hash. We need to expand this a little bit. Yeah. Then I would like us to do some simple calculations here on the form. The two calculations we shall do on the form, put the point on this, or we calculate age or date, actual date or actual age using the date borrowed field, because these are the common calculations that can be done on a form or that are asked now and again. So I create more space here. So at this point, we can add a new field. We are going to put a label up here. So we
maybe
can
Mr.
say this
Kakuru,
is maybe, yes, please.
Mr. Kakuru, as you are proceeding,
I can hear you.
There is a question in the chat from Mr. Seguya Simon. Is asking if there is any way of formatting the form or report to appear in tabular when you use the form design. So I think you can answer that at that point since we are under forms.
Okay, is there a way of formatting your form or report to appear in tabular or columnar when you are in form design? That one I haven't tried it before, and I'm not sure if it works out. But colleagues who are here can as well help me respond to such questions if you have tried out that before. Because when you are in Wizard, that's when you have the layout options. But with form design, you only lay the fields in a columnar format. Okay, we need to add a new field here. I've added a label, and then the one that will return results, this one, you use a text box. You draw here. Then I can click this text, that text 20, I delete it. I remain with this one. So with this, you go to the property sheet, under data, you go to control source, you go to expression builder. So at this point, let's say it was 40%. You can say 40 divided by 100 times, that is asterisk. Then in your expression categories, I pick amount without the word label. I click OK. So with that, when you click view and go to form view, you should be able to get that. Hopefully that calculation is easy to deal with. If there are no questions in the chat section, hopefully that is okay. We can add another field, which we can also use to calculate then we add another label. This one, let me call it age. Then we add another text box. We remove this text 29. We click here on unbound. Property sheet, data, control source. We go to the expression builder. So with this, we use the date difference, the date diff. We open the brackets. We open quotes and we put years, that is y 4 times. Close quotes, we put a comma. Then we pick the date field in the expression categories. Date field without the word label, that is date borrowed. So from here, we put a comma. Under expression elements, you click on common expressions, you pick current date. Then you finally close the brackets that you had opened. So when you click OK and you click on view, form view, you should be able to get the actual years that maybe these learners had taken when they had borrowed books, or the years they have spent from the date of birth, something like that. Okay. Those who are replying in the chat section, thank you very much. We proceed. Are there questions on these simple calculations that we have seen? So if there are no questions, I would like us to calculate the same things, tax and age, using a query. So on queries, we can create, we go to query design. I add my table. I put all the fields. So after putting all the fields, I'm going to add a new field here for calculating tax. So I click in that new field. I go to expression builder. Then we calculate tax, which we said it is 40% of of amount. So here we come to our database, so practical tables, students, then we pick the field for amount. We click OK. So here it has this expression 1. You remove that, remove the quotes and give it a name, I mean a label, call it tax. You save changes or run your query. So the query has that added field. We can save it. I click OK. Let's create another query. We use it to calculate age. At this point, we add another field here. We go to expression builder, and then we calculate age. That is date difference. Open quotes, put the years, comma. Now go to your database, go to tables, bring the date field. You put a comma. You go to common expressions, bring current date, or simply type date, open brackets, close, and then finally you close with the brackets you opened with. So at this point, you also rename here. Let's say this is years. You run your query, it has the years. You save. Now, let's say in your database, you have been asked to return those who borrowed books in the month of, let me see the common months here. You see June. Yeah, let's say in the month of June, which is common here. So we create another query. We return, that will return the month of June. So here we come under date borrowed. We click there. We go to expression builder. You can even right click and go to build. So at this point, we need the month. So this is the date part of the date. We open the brackets. We need month, comma, bring the date field. Then we close the brackets, equals, we need the month of June. I click OK. So when I run, it returns those who borrowed books in the month of June. Same applies to the year. You put date part, specify the year, and put that. So when you save changes, let's call it June. Okay, someone is saying, yes, another formula to calculate age. Yes, thank you. Hopefully we are following the chat section. Okay. Yeah, so basically we are looking at, yeah, there are some questions where I met that they were asking an if function in database. Did we look at background colors in forms? Yeah, we can format our form to put a background color in design view. So you can put a background color, say here, you right click, fill color, get any color, you apply it, depending on the question. If they have asked you any, pick any. Yeah, so when you click view, there you have a background color. There are some questions which have asked learners to lock their form so that there are no changes or more entries are made. So if you can select your fields at once, you can go to the property sheet, under locked, you say yes. So at that point, you save changes, click view, form view, meaning that here one cannot add more content as you type. See here, you cannot edit. There you are locking your form. Someone is saying,
Mr. Kakuru.
yes.
Yeah, now, actually, the other member was asking about the in design view having the form to data sheet to be like in
sorry, let me create it.
The tabular or format when you're in form design, because it comes well when you are in what? When you use a wizard, you can
wizard.
But you can actually change it. You can change the format if you want, even like the other one that you have done. So you are seeing down there below the field list, below at the extreme bottom above the time, above the 9 p.m.
Yes, there.
Icons there. So this one, we have that one. The middle one is on for data sheet. So the next one, data sheet view. So layout. So if you click on this one here, the second one. Now you first click on the second one there, the second one. So it is going to change. Now I think if you first try to go to the other form that you had designed, the one you have been putting colors. First go to the other one. First close this. First go the other one that you have been on. Okay, I can just save that. First go the other form. Let's try out something. So we had designed it. I think you had used the wizard and you had opened it in okay. So you try to press F4. Press F4. It will bring the property sheet. F4 function kick 4 on the keyboard.
Yeah, I'm pressing it, but this site is inactive.
Hey, it's not bringing anything.
But it's okay. We can still. You are saying, can't we have? I think that property sheet comes when in design view.
Yeah, in design view. Go to design view.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So the bottom there. So what are you seeing down there at the bottom? So we have
here.
So click on the first one. So these ones should be able to change the format of the. There's that one. Then there is the second one. So these, if you point on them, I think it also depends on how you have designed it. But those are the ones that you can be able to use. There's layout. This one is what? Form view. Now
the first one is form view, layout view. But these ones, the views here.
Those are just the views, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. There's one which is okay. I think the data sheet view. Those are they change the views. The same thing like
yeah.
Up, eh? Okay. Fine.
Yeah. Okay. So that is on our form and queries. Do we have more questions, members, in the chat section? Someone is saying, I met a question asking for age, given that the current age is 2000. That question is not clear. Someone is saying, do they have also?
Mr. Benard?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think we are almost at the top of the hour, but in a few minutes, I think we are going to ask members if they have some questions, some burning questions about what you have handled, raise up their hand. And then we answer some few questions here and there as we are summarizing our meetup for today. So So remember, the platform is there. You raise up your hand and then we see some questions here and there. Thank you.
Okay, someone is asking for table relationship. Okay, so we are going to put another table here. Let's import a table here. Okay, let me get a table. Yeah, I'm putting another table so that we can make a relationship. So we have a table called students and another one is details. So you can go to database tools, then you go to relationships. And at this point, you add your tables, say details table, students table. So these two tables must have at least the ID numbers which are common, and then you link the two. So here I can bring registration number and link it with ID numbers. So in scenarios where your table has both reg number and reg number, you can link to that. So this is a one-to-one relationship I create. So that is it. That is it. You save changes. So meaning that someone who is doing the marking will go to database tools, relationships, the relationship will be there.
Okay.
Someone is saying grouping
Mr.
and average calculation in reports. Okay. Michael, we can't hear you.
No, you can proceed.
But let me
as
handle
you're answering
this.
the last questions.
Someone is asking grouping and average calculation in reports. Okay. Let's create a report. So we can create a report by wizard. We pick from students. We take all fields. We click next. So here, in case you have grouping, let's say we are grouping our